The New York Toy Fair came this year, and while many people were like me looking at the newest Transformer toys, there was also a lot of board game news coming out of the fair.
Yeah, the Toy Fair typically focuses on sort of the more mainstream toys and action figures, that kind of a thing. But there's more and more crossover as time goes on with board games and what that blurry line exactly is between toys and board games. And some publishers were there announcing some new stuff.
Yeah, one of the big ones was North Star Games. They announced a whole new line of games called Happy Planet games. These are actually focusing less on making games for people to sort of compete against each other, but really focus on everyone to have a fun time. They've announced 2 games in this line of series. The first one is Funky Chicken, based a lot on their Happy Salmon line, which probably should sort of be in that line.
I'm pretty sure retroactively Happy Salmon is also part of this family now, yeah.
Same idea, except you're doing more of like funky chicken dances and stuff. The perfect game for the Bloots.
And the other one is monster themed?
Yes, this one you are rolling dice and trying to capture donut-eating monsters. Because everyone knows monsters like donuts.
It makes sense, but I think the most important thing about these games is that, like Happy Salmon, they all come in these little zipper pouch packaging.
Yeah.
Which I think is the real lesson North Star Games learned from Happy Salmon, is that people like to buy games that in fun packaging. I think that's a big part of why it's so successful.
Well, in particular, also anything. At least I assume if this is a kind of game where you want the not winning, but the fun aspect, you sort of making it something that's easy to transport, especially if you have kids and that kind of thing, definitely gives, I think, more points for parents and stuff.
Yeah, it's something you can throw in a bag, take to the beach, take to wherever you're going. Yeah, it's a good...
Of course, though, dealing with gamers, you think that they only care about happy experiences and not winning. I take another look.
It's a tough choice that you make there. Now, there are a bunch of other announcements. I'm going to run through some of them for all you happy people out there. We got to see a new box for a game called Forbidden Sky: Height of Danger, and this is another in a line from the game designer Matt Leacock, along with Forbidden Island and Forbidden Desert. We know nothing about this game. They've only showed a box art. What we do know, though, from what we've seen at Toy Fair, they didn't show it in a tin. That's one thing. The packaging is just a regular box. Might not be final, but that's something. And it definitely looks bigger than the other 2 boxes. So assuming that is not going to change, seems like this may be a more complex, layered version of the other 2.
I am excited. I've enjoyed the Forbidden series. I mean, the 2 of them. And it's sort of cool that he's going to the next one. And I'm really hoping, not ironically here, that there is like going to be a volcano one, because that sounds really cool. But that also could be because I like Fireball Island.
Well, because we have water, land, now air. So yeah, you need fire. And then eventually the 5th one is just Bruce Willis.
No, it's the Avatar.
Yeah, it's one of those 2. So Forbidden Sky, you got that. There's also this game, I'm sure you've heard of it, called Waldschattenspiel.
Oh yeah.
This is an old German game that maybe you've seen pictures of. It's never been released in America, but it kind of looks like photosynthesis in that it uses like big tree models. The thing that makes it unique is you're supposed to play in the dark by candlelight, sort of. And it's been like very popular, but never had a release here. Think Fun is finally localizing that game. Their version is called Shadows in the Forest. So that's kind of cool. It would be neat to see that translated for our market.
Yeah, I mean, seeing things translated over, and as well as taking old games and maybe taking a look at them and maybe changing some rules a bit. Like, we've been huge fans of the restorative games. So seeing something like this is definitely, I'm always up for.
Yeah. We're pro! Cryptozoic announced another in their line of epic Spell Wars games. This one is called Panic at the Pleasure Palace, which is the title of my autobiography. So if you're an epic Spell Wars fan, you can look forward to that. How about Codenames? There's a new version of Codenames coming called Codenames XXL. Thought there might be an X at the end, but no, it's 2 X's and an L. Same as Codenames, bigger box, bigger cards. That's it. Supposedly, you know, something that will be used for demos or for bigger groups. Actually seems kind of cool because sometimes it's hard to read those cards.
Well, actually, my idea is what you should do is you should buy that, but get rid of the bigger cards.
Yeah.
And use the big box to hold all the other Codename stuff.
Not a bad idea at all, because right now I have a Codenames box with about 3 different versions stuffed in there, and it is crowded. So that's Codenames. Terraforming Mars showed off a new expansion. It's called Terraforming Mars Prelude. And the way it's going to work is at the start of the game, it's a pretty small expansion, you're going to be able to choose Prelude cards that are going to affect your corporation and sort of your engine from the beginning. So you're going to have some more customization right at the start of the game, which it sounds like, we don't have any more details really, we've just seen kind of the front and back of the box, but it sounds like it could potentially make the game go faster because you're going to start with some more things in play that you don't have to build as much, or at least just give you more variety, more influence right out of the gate. So that's kind of cool.
I mean, we love this game, so definitely looking forward to that.
It does seem like, yeah, they definitely have a lot going on. I wonder how many of these expansions mesh together, and how many are, if eventually it might be more of a like modular thing. Yeah, I don't know.
And I don't think that's too bad, especially if they're more small things like here and there.
Yeah, it could be cool. And this is a small one, like I said. It doesn't come with too many cards. There was something that we kind of already knew about, was that Wizards of the Coast had made a deal with WizKids, and we finally they got a big poster up at Toy Fair to let you pre-order their new Magic the Gathering themed board game, which has to do with planeswalkers in the land of Dominaria.
Yeah, that's actually the original plane Magic's from, and we're finally visiting it in the card set. A lot of people were excited. Some people have joked that they're not going to look at any spoilers, to be like how it was in the old days before internet spoiled everything. So it's very curious to see. I mean, we know we recently had the Explorers of Ixalan. It's a board game, but it's still used like actual Magic cards decks, and so much so that you'll find it not in the board game section of stores, but usually where the card games are kept. I haven't had a chance to play it. My brother has it, but he's too busy hunting monsters to learn to play a game.
Well, of course, we also had Arena of the Planeswalkers, was sort of the other.
But that one was, I know, was considered more of a flop. It's so much so that I think you can get everything for like $10 now.
And honestly, that I mostly blame on Hasbro. I think they really dropped the ball in marketing.
Yeah.
And WizKids, I think, will do hopefully a much better job partnering with them.
Yeah, I mean, and like I feel like we've talked about this before with Magic, but I think it's prime now. They've gotten, with the Planeswalkers now, they have sort of iconic named people that would work in board games and such. I still think that they should take the next step with the RPGs instead of free little PDFs and actually make a nice book. And of course, games like this then would be welcome to the RPG people, because then you can have miniatures to play for your characters.
I'm for it. So that is Heroes of Dominaria, and it is going to be scheduled for release this summer. So not too much longer. And final story from Toy Fair, they did crown one game as Game of the Year. Of all the board games that exist, they had a Game of the Year. Probably went to one you wouldn't expect. A game called Soggy Doggy. That's the title. Basically, it's a kid's game where you like wash a dog, and it comes with like little 3D like brushes and stuff, and you have a little dog.
Look, they're used for toys, and they only just started allowing board games in there. We got to give them some time.
Yeah, it's from what I've heard. We haven't played it, but it doesn't sound like the most enticing game around. But it's interesting. I kind of wish. I mean, who cares? They don't care. Nobody really cares. But I guess part of me feels like, well, maybe they should say like best family game of the year or something like that instead of, or specify. I mean, it's a Toy Fair, so I guess you know what they're giving you.
And like I said, they just started with this stuff. So I will say one of the things I'm hoping to see more, or I was hoping to see and we didn't see this year, and maybe we'll see more as the year comes, is we've talked about it, I think it was just last week or the week before, or actually I think it was our first reboot, the Transformers card game. I was hoping to hear a bit more about that, but as far as I know, there wasn't really anything there.
Yeah, it's interesting because at least in the world of board game news, not a lot of places cover Toy Fair. So the best resource, if you're looking for more info from Toy Fair that I know of, is actually Board Game Geek's Twitter account. They're like, I honestly don't see many other people covering anything there unless they just happen to just be there or posting about it. Because like we said, it's just not quite in that realm yet. But yeah, I haven't seen anything for Transformers either. So, but maybe it's possible that like there's some nook or cranny that just no one's seen yet. You know what I mean? Because I think there's a lot of that kind of thing where there's something hidden away that nobody's found.
Right, and I do think this would be great because I mean, in some ways, board games and toys do go hand in hand. I'm not trying to say that in a insulting way. I think that you could have, with miniatures and stuff, they could really have a good board game section there. Plus improving a lot of the products. I mean, I say Transformers, but also Star Wars, though that's all Fantasy Flight, but other like big names could get some good board games if they sort of come together hand in hand.
Yeah, there's definitely some crossover there, and we'll see what happens. But that was Toy Fair for 2018. If you happen to be at Toy Fair in New York City, we'd definitely love to hear from you if you saw anything or if there's an announcement you're particularly excited for. That would be neat. Otherwise, until next time, this has been Roll for Crit. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave your comments below.
Oh yeah!